Mushroom sales are hot, and last year they reached an all-time high, bringing in over $1.2 billion. Now, helping to boost sales are the wide varieties you can now find everywhere, from portobellos and creminis to oysters and maitakes. But the question now is for Lan, what's the best way to cook them?
So before we get to the best way, here's what not to do.
Okay.
You don't take beautifully foraged maitakes, hedgehogs, and white beach mushrooms, throw them in a screaming hot pan, and kind of hope that you get some color and that they're not a greasy mess. So here's what you should be doing.
All right.
I've got 1.25 pounds of mushrooms here, 3 different types. I've got some white button mushrooms, and these are really easy. I'm just gonna trim the bottom off.
And you're leaving the stem on?
Yes, they're great. I'm gonna quarter these because they're a little bit large, and if they were a little smaller, I would have them.
Because you want them to be the same size so they cook at the same rate?
Yeah, these guys are gonna shrink down to about half their size, so I'm shooting for 1 to 1.25 inch pieces.
Okay.
These are oyster mushrooms, and they're fantastic. They're really easy to prep as well. I'm just gonna cut them off the stem.
Because that stem is really hard and it won't soften during cooking.
Right, and then we're just gonna separate any of the larger pieces. I'm just gonna tear in half. So here we're looking for 1 to 1.5 inch pieces.
And all these mushrooms have been washed already?
Right, you don't have to worry about them sucking up water. Last up I have shiitakes. Again, I'm just stemming them, and you just grab the stem and pop them off.
Again, those stems won't soften.
Right, and the smaller ones I'm gonna have, and this larger one I'm gonna quarter. And with all of these mushrooms, I'm just looking for flat edges because they're gonna make contact with the pan and they'll brown. All right, you ready to start cooking?
Yes.
I am going to dump these in a cold pan.
Well, that's the opposite of a screaming hot skillet. So the best way to get browning, you're telling me, is to start at a cold pan and to crowd it.
Yes.
Okay, breaking all the rules, Lan.
Don't forget, add 1/4 cup of water.
Water?
Yes.
You really are breaking all the rules.
So I'm just gonna crank this up to high and push this around a little bit. The reason I'm doing all of this is mushrooms are full of little pockets, and those pockets will suck up oil. That's why whenever you add oil to mushrooms, all that oil disappears.
Like sponges.
Right, so as we're driving off that water, they're gonna collapse, those little pockets are gonna go away, and then they can't suck up the oil. You'll see in just a couple minutes, all the juices that were in the mushroom, they're gonna be on that pan. So, Julia, you can see that this is pretty juicy, and the mushrooms have also collapsed into almost a single layer, which is exactly what we're looking for. I'm gonna let these keep going until this pan is almost dry. This is gonna take a total of 4 to 8 minutes. It kind of depends on the mushrooms and how wet they are. So, it's been about 7 minutes, and as you can see, there's no water left in this pan.
No, it's dry.
Yeah, so it's time to add the oil and start browning.
Okay.
I have 1/2 teaspoon of oil. And it's plenty of oil because the mushrooms aren't going to suck the oil up anymore. It just needs to coat the mushrooms.
Okay.
I'm also going to turn the heat down to medium-high. It's going to take 4 to 8 minutes, and we're going to let these guys brown. So these look great. You can see the color on these guys. They're beautiful, and I think we're ready to move on. So I'm just going to push them.
You clear the center of the skillet so you can add more ingredients.
Yes, and we're adding 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter.
There's the fat.
I needed some.
So you skimped on the oil so you could add extra butter.
That's the way to do it. I'm also going to turn the heat down to medium. Now that the butter is melted, I'm adding 1 shallot that's been minced. This is 1 teaspoon of fresh rosemary, 1/4 teaspoon of table salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I'm just going to stir this around, let those shallots cook by themselves for a second. So it's been 30 seconds, and you can see these shallots have softened nicely. So I'm adding 1/4 cup of a dry red wine here, and you want something that isn't too strongly oaked because those flavors are going to concentrate and that gets a little heavy. And I've also got a tablespoon of cider vinegar. It kind of brightens it and sweetens it a little bit.
So this is rosemary, shallot, and red wine, but you could do other things too.
Oh, for sure. I tried a bunch of different flavor combinations. It's a really versatile method.
You can find those other variations on our website.
It's been a couple minutes, and you can see the pan is dry again. I'm going to add the last ingredient, and it's 1/3 cup of chicken broth. I want the mushrooms to be lightly coated in just a little sauce. And this simmering you see here is actually really great. It emulsifies the fat into the liquid so that it doesn't get greasy. So I want this to reduce by half. It's going to take 2 to 3 minutes. This looks pretty great. It needs a little bit of salt and pepper. Are you ready for this?
I am.
I know you like mushrooms, right?
I love mushrooms. Oh, the smell of the shallots and the rosemary and the butter. I actually smell the butter. Yum.
Aren't they great?
It's the texture of the mushrooms. They're perfection, not spongy, not rubbery, just meaty and toothsome.
Yeah, I've actually served these to people who don't like mushrooms and changed their minds.
I believe it. And the flavor of the rosemary and the shallot and the red wine. That rosemary is fragrant but not overpowering. Well done, Lan. These are great.
Thank you.
And there you have it. The key to perfectly cooked mushrooms is to cram them into a 12-inch nonstick skillet, add water, and let them wilt. Once the excess moisture has evaporated, just add a tiny amount of oil to help them brown. For a final hit of flavor, add some butter and a few aromatics, then some chicken broth so that it cooks down to a luscious glaze. And there you have it. From America's Test Kitchen to your kitchen, a terrific new recipe for sautéed mushrooms with red wine and rosemary. Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.